Hey everyone, welcome to the Microsites 101 How to Sell More with Custom B2B Stores workshop. My name is Katie McQuaig and I am an account manager here at RepSpark. This is an opportunity to further connect with our RepSpark team and drop into the workshop where we will share strategies to optimize your RepSpark site, show how to effectively use RepSpark features, have a live Q&A, and a whole lot more. Today we bring strategies on navigating RepSpark's microsites and how they can transform your event merchandising strategy. Designed specifically for brands, this session will provide you with a seamless way to sell event merchandise, collect orders, and expand your brand's reach. First, we are going to jump into a short video highlighting the recent product and feature updates at RepSpark. But before we get into the workshop, I would like to introduce Bobby Morgan, Senior Sales Engineer at RepSpark. And then we also have Natasha Lyo, who unfortunately wasn't able to join the call today, but she will be the one running through the product features and updates. But I will let Bobby introduce himself quickly.
Hey everyone, glad to have you here on the call. Many of you in the audience I've worked with before, both on setting up your microsites and on the projects in general. So looking forward to demoing the microsites again and talking through some strategies around that for the folks who use them now and the folks who are interested in adding them to their suite of RepSpark tools.
Perfect. Thanks, Bobby. So without further ado, here are this month's product updates. And after this short video, we will dive into microsites brought to you by Bobby.
Hey everyone, I'm Natasha, Product Manager here at RepSpark. I'm here to show you a couple product updates that were released in March or towards the beginning of April. So this very first one, users automatically get approved when a user invites them. Previously, when a brand admin was added a user and then sent that invite to the user, they were still unapproved and that user needed to click that accept invitation button in their email. We've made a change so that now once an admin sends the invite to the user, they are approved automatically. So you can kind of see this right here. I can send this to this test email right here and then send now. And then when they go to accept their invitation, they'll already be approved. Okay, we've also changed the order submitted notifications logic for admins. So we have the concept of an actor and a watcher. An actor is the person who actually submits the order, is doing the actual submitting of the order, and then a watcher is someone for whom that order is relevant. So a good example for this is if you're a sales rep, for instance, and then you submit an order, the customer that you submitted the order for would be a watcher, and then you, the sales rep, would be an actor. Also vice versa. So previously we had admins be a watcher on all orders submitted emails. Because of some user feedback, we've changed this so that admins are not watchers on any order submitted emails by default. So if you want to become a watcher or be added to all of the order submitted notifications, you can go ahead and add them in the admin panel. This other one is exciting as well. So I'm just gonna go over here to account settings, and we didn't have this section before, but we've added the ability for you to turn off order submitted notifications as an admin. So before we were thinking order submitted is a very functional email, so we made it mandatory, but now you can turn off if you're the one who's the actor on this. This is for admins only as well. And then another exciting development is we now have RepSpark Pay, which is our native payment processor that integrates with checkout payments, microsite payments, and AR Hub. RepSpark Pay is super exciting. Now you can accept payments directly on the platform. You can pay for your invoices directly on the platform, and any brand can set this up as well. As always, you can go to this features and updates page on RepSpark on our website. We'll post this once a month, usually around the 1st of every month. So you can go back and see all of the different updates that we have.
As a recap, last month's product and features updates were user notifications, user invites, and users automatically getting approved when receiving an invite, the ability to turn off order submitted emails, and the availability of RepSpark Pay. As a reminder, our product features are on our website, and we will be sending you a link to our monthly product updates page after this workshop. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section now, and we can answer a few now, and then we can also answer some questions after Bobby's live presentation. But before we jump into Bobby's presentation, and for those of you who are not too familiar with RepSpark's microsites, they are custom storefronts separate from your main B2B site, designed for targeted shopping experiences like events or campaigns, while maintaining centralized control over product data and order fulfillment. For golf brands, microsites streamline merchandise sales during tournaments and events, simplifying order processing from brand to customer, and they can be used beyond tournaments. We have seen people use them for corporate events, promotional campaigns, influencer or ambassador programs, team and club orders, B2G uniform orders, and a whole lot more. And with that, we will let Bobby take it away with more insights and information on RepSpark's microsites.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Good morning again, everyone. It's weird not being able to see anyone else in the audience. I feel like I'm sort of talking to myself here, but I will go through a high-level demo of the RepSpark microsite platform, talk about some strategies, do a little bit of microsite building just to show how easy it is to stand one up. For those folks on the call who have used this for a while, they should be pretty familiar with how it is to set up a site. You can do it in as quick as 5 minutes or less in some cases to set up a site. So I am going to start sharing my screen actually. Let me go ahead and do that. Let's see, share screen. And this one over here. All right. So everyone should be able to see my screen here. I'm demonstrating a Olokai microsite. Hillary over at Olokai was nice enough to let me demo some of their sites for the audience here so I can show what a nice, clean, finished site looks like before I start from the building process here. This is an example of a site that was done for a golf tournament. This is a women's one-day member guest tournament. And then each of the women that was in attendance for that event was sent this link. So all you have to do is email the attendees this link, and typically that could go out through the tournament manager or a head pro or something that's giving the tournament details to that group and letting them know to come to this site prior to the event, prior to the order due date, which I adjusted to be April 29th. So that they can place their orders before that date so that the items have time to ship and arrive before the event starts. Typically, items might be handed out when they come to the registration table, for example, or waiting for them on the seat of a golf cart. I've seen it done several different ways. This microsite, it's a one item per person package. We do have the capability of setting up packages with hard upper limits or open-ended, depending on how the site is set up and what its purpose is. Again, this was an event. This is a prepaid event, most likely, so everyone has X dollars applied towards a tea gift. So in this case, they set up 6 different packages. Each one of these packages is actually just a single product that comes in a couple different colorways. This one only has one color. I think this one has 2. So if I click on this one here, I can click on the sidebar and see I can choose this pair of sandals in white or in brown. And then each of these sizes that are available shows the actual ones that are available in inventory. So RepSpark has the ability to connect to the same inventory data that powers the main part of your site, can also power your microsites. So if this size 5, for example, sells out before I, as the golfer, come to this site to order it, this box would be grayed out. To add an item to your cart is pretty straightforward. Just pick the size you want, add it to your cart, and then move through the checkout process or add more items if you're allowed to. Checking out is pretty straightforward. You just put in your first name, last name. If it's an event where everything is being shipped to the site itself, then we would have disabled the ability to put in your address. But this, it looks like it's actually a dropship event versus a get your product on site. So then you would just put in your name and all of your relevant shipping information, proceed to the checkout page, and then submit your order. pretty straightforward. Most people are on the site for a minute or two, browsing what items they want and are able to place their order. Once the order is placed, each user will get an email, and then also a copy will go to whomever you've indicated in the microsite. Admin should get a copy. A lot of times that'll be the head pro or whoever is partnering with your brand to run that event. And I've also seen it where someone from the brand will also be copied on those emails. So I'm going to pivot over to the back end of the microsite manager here so that we can see how this all ties together. So this microsite manager here, this is for this event. And then actually, let me go back one step here. So to create a new microsite in RepSpark, if you have an active microsite package, and RepSpark sells packages in as small as 5 or up to 200, I've seen, depending on the size of your event's operation. But basically, each microsite draws down from this package. Now, the good news is that you can set up multiple microsites, but they don't count against your allotment until they're actually active and have orders placed against them. So you can actually use this as a marketing tool to stand up a site before you even meet with someone about an event. Say, hey, I set up this microsite for this event you have coming up. We'd be interested in partnering with you. But if they end up saying, thanks, but no thanks, or whatever the case may be, maybe it's not the right opportunity, then that doesn't come out of your actual budget of sites. So it's a great way to build up a bunch of these and have them ready to go, especially with the ability to stand them up so quickly. So you would click just new microsite here to begin the process. Now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just in the interest of time. So I'll go over here to the back end of this site that I was just showing, which is this 18-hole women's member guest. Now, what you do here when you set up the site is you have to give the site a name and you have to give the site a location, and then you press save. Those are the two primary keys of data you have to set up first, and then it allows you to edit all these other fields. So when setting up a site, give it a name, give it a location information, and the rest of the stuff about the address you can fill out. Contact name would be typically the club pro or the main point of contact at the retail location, who that contact's email and phone number is. And then in this case, this is where I was saying for all orders that are submitted, this is who will get notified, and you can have multiple people in that role. The event dates are over here. When does it start? When does it end? And when are the orders due by? This is the most important date, in my opinion, the orders due by date, because once this date comes to pass, the packages on the front end will no longer show. So if someone goes onto the site after that date, they won't be able to place their order. So it's important to set this due by date at a date where you'll have time to fulfill any orders that are placed right up until that specific date. When creating a microsite is a B2B to C experience for your customers. So in that case, we still have to pick who the customer is that we are doing this event for. This is the wholesale part of the operation. So this is your customer. This is your retail partner. So what this means is all orders that come through the microsite ultimately get converted into wholesale orders that land in your ERP. The retail component of it is handled by the club itself, either in the terms of prepayment, like signing up for a golf tournament, or maybe any expenses are added to a member's monthly account. But the reconciliation of that is not your concern. You're just concerned with fulfilling the wholesale order. So you're taking a wholesale order, one order at a time, directly from the end recipients. Over here is where the assets are added. So if we look back at that nice website here, you can see this is how the pieces fit together. So here's our banner image, here's our logo. So here's our banner image, here's our logo. These are all super easy to just drag and drop the images to populate these. Since the microsites are a template, there is no CSS, there's no development that has to go into this. It's literally just plug and play for these different features. This is mobilely supported, so if you have a different background image that's vertical that you want to have for a phone, then you would put that here. Otherwise, it'll just try to resize this image on a phone. Recommend using this mobile one though, if you have one. Let's see, packages. These are the 6 packages that we saw on the front of the site. Each package is something that you can add to the site, but the way to generate the packages, for those of you who are on RepSpark, you should be familiar with our assortments and catalogs process. So each package is actually just an assortment. So when you're setting up an event, you will work with your partner, your retail partner, to go through and pick which items you want to offer for that event. And what you'll do is you'll go to the main products page, and then you would do an actual assortment. So I created one over here called Demo Assortment 2, and then you just go through and add the items by clicking the star that you want to add to this demo assortment. So then when you're building your package over here, oops, lost my page, lost my place. So when you're adding a package, at that point, you just click on New Package, and then that same assortment will show right here to where you can add it. Now, each one of these, you can give it a different name. So, this can be the men's collection, and then you can set limits on that package. So, there can be 1 total unit, or we can do a limit by product category if there is if there are different categories within it. This drop down would say limit on total or limit on category. I'm not going to add that here because I don't want to mess up this nice site. But if you do add a package, it does automatically show on the front end. All these changes show pretty much in real time. So if I refresh this now, we should see my package added to this list down here. So there's the demo assortment. Here are the items that are in that, which I guess I forgot to add items to it. And then it's easy enough to just delete this package as well. So you delete it, and now it's gone. All of the information that you see on the homepage in terms of the information around the details of the microsite and the program, you can add right here into this box, and that will show on the homepage. We do have the ability to manage products at a granular level, even if we're using live inventory. So here's the checkbox that says use live inventory. But if you know that you have some sizes that are low in stock, you can simply uncheck them and they'll become unavailable on the front. If you have items that are about to land but are not in stock yet, let's say you have what's today, the 23rd? Let's say you have a 5/1 delivery and this event is for June, but you want to open it up now. You can actually set your inventory date to be a reflection of that future inventory's arrival. So if your replenishment is arriving on May 1st, you can actually just set this to be May 2nd, and it will look at the inventory as if today is May 2nd. So that way you can begin to order against the future PO for your event, and then all of these sizes would show as available on the front end instead of showing as not available because you're still waiting for that to arrive. Let me just check those back. All this stuff updates in real time as well, so you don't have to save or anything. The users of a microsite. So there's 2 ways to add a user list to the site. One is to take this download template here and upload each person's first name, last name, and email. And then you would drag that in and it would generate a list of the people who are allowed to order from this site. If your name or if your email is not on the list, then when you go to check out, it will not allow you to check out. The other way to do it, if you go back to this main product tab here, is to disable user validation. This is the most common way to do a microsite, unless it's a highly protective one for whatever reason. But typically, people will just use this, which means any user can place an order. Anyone who has this link here is able to place that order. So whoever gets emailed that list can place that order. Now, one way around that is you can put an order submission code, which is essentially like a password. And the password is what would need to be added to the checkout form. So you can disable user validation, but then require a password. So that's one way to make it a little more secure in the sense that if someone had the link that shouldn't for whatever reason, then they wouldn't know what the password is. You would share that submission code separately or in the body of the email that is being sent out to the field. Some of these other options here are pretty self-explanatory. If you are doing it for a member tournament, you can add a field for people to add their member number. As noted, we do have the ability to support drop ship capabilities. So you can set up a dropship form to appear as either not part of the event, optional, or required. Required means that everyone has to put in an address. Optional means that if they live near the golf course, they can just ship to the golf course. If they happen to, not be around there, then you can ship it to them. RepSpark does have the ability to capture a flat fee for all the dropship orders, so you can add that in. Say it's $8 or something. This is really just meant to help you mitigate the cost of shipping, since shipping calculation is not part of the way that microsites present the data. This is another really big one here, which is the enable bulk ordering. So what this does is this will take all of the microsite orders and aggregate them into a single order that lands in your ERP. So let's imagine that this event has 100 member guests that are placing orders. Rather than each order landing in your ERP as a single order to fulfill, what you can do, what people typically do, is they will wait until a certain date, and then they will take all the orders that have been submitted by the attendees and then push them into their ERP all at once. And RepSpark has the backend logic to merge all of these orders into a single draft. We also have the ability, if you are using our logo feature, our insignia feature within your microsites, to be able to split out orders that have embroidery or not embroidery on them. This event actually did have some orders, and what you'll notice is each one of these individual event orders is what these individual golfers ordered, but the RepSpark order for each of these is the same. So if I were to pull up this order, then you would see that there was a total of 80 units ordered, and it aggregates all the different styles and sizes into single line items. So this is a very clean order to pick, pack, and ship, because it's all within a single microsite order moved through RepSpark into your ERP. Orders from a microsite by default will land in a draft status within the site itself. And then you click this button here to submit those orders, and then it turns them into RepSpark orders, which land in your system. I'm going to switch over to the back end of my test site here so that I can show how to quickly add some of these features. As I noted, I started to set up one here in the interest of time. This is what the front end of my test website looks like compared to the one I just showed. It's missing a couple of elements. So I do have two packages. There's a men's collection and a women's collection. Okay. So what I'll do here is I will go in and I've set up the event name, the location, added the address. What I need now is to add the start date, the end date, and then the orders are due by a certain date. Disable user validation, enable bulk ordering. These are the most common settings that I would want to do. Now I can show the product description, I can show the retail price, or I can hide the retail price. We can even do a retail discount on the front end as well. Okay, so now that I've saved all these changes on the front end of the site, we should now be showing the retail price for this item. It'll take a moment for this to, there it goes. So now it's showing the retail price, whereas previously it wasn't, and it's also pulling in the long description. All this data is the same exact data that's already being pulled from your system into RepSpark. It's just being displayed on the microsites as well. So if you have multiple images, they'll all show here. As far as the assets goes, as noted before, it's pretty straightforward to be able to upload some info here. So I'm going to add a desktop image. So I'll just drag and drop that there. Then I'll add a logo here. And then we can even add a second logo if we'd like. And now if I go back to the front end, go back to the home page, we should see all these assets populated. So you can see how quickly you can assemble a site here. So I have my banner image. Now, obviously, for an event, you'll want to take an image that you've added some layers to that have the event name on it, or maybe your logo in the upper left, their logo in the upper right, the title of the event itself. But nonetheless, dragging those assets in is super easy. This package is missing an image, so I'll come back to my packages page, click edit packages, and then same thing, I'll just drag that there. And now I have an image on the front end, and then same thing, it appears on the front end here, or it will in a second. I think it takes 15 or 20 seconds for these to update. But yeah, so that's how quickly you can stand up a site. Now, the part that probably takes the longest is actually going through and setting up your packages, determining what you want to offer different customers as part of their packages. Okay, test order was done. So when someone does place an order, it would just look like this, where it shows the shipping address, who the rep was, and then what items they ordered. So this is actually a receipt of that order. Any orders that are placed, as noted, you'll get an email with the same information in it as well. So why do we do microsites? Why are microsites so successful for RepSpark as a product, and for our brands that use them as an additional tool in their RepSpark suite of B2B tools? Really, it's about partnering with your existing retail partners, so you can increase the revenue through them and also increase stickiness, whether it's through a holiday pop-up shop, a corporate gifting site, or a golf tournament. These are events where you can generate a big sale, through a very user-friendly experience, and then the added benefits are additional exposure to other members at the club or the organization who may not be aware of your brand, or in addition to that, increased shelf space within the retail space itself. If people are loving that event they did with Olakai or Johnny O or Holderness and Bourne or whomever the case may be, Turtleson, then they can add, then you can get more wholesale orders to fill that shelf space. And this goes for whether it's apparel products or non-apparel items. We see that microsites are a successful way to do that. It's also a great way to connect with new retail partners, to explore the opportunities with them. We've seen many brands get their foot in the door by just partnering for a single event and then generating that buzz around their product afterwards, and that turning into repeat orders, repeat wholesale orders. Let's see here. We talked about site setup, assortments and packages, picking your customer, dates, contact information. Just going down my list here. Bulk ordering. So yeah, at a high level, that is the RepSpark microsite experience. We do have the ability actually to do logos. I'm going to show a quick little example over here as well. One second, where you can, give me 1 second here to switch sites. So we do have the ability, I'm going to switch into a different screen here. If you guys use our Insignia tool, then you can actually include the logo information as part of the package as well. So maybe it's a member guest tournament or whatever the case may be. You can put the logo on those items. The users don't get to select the logo and the placement and the color choice. This is something that you work out with the retail partner before the event, but all of the outerwear would have this logo on the left chest, color coordinated to the garment. There is an option within the admin where you can make this a checkbox where people can say, I want the blank product or I want the decorated product. In this particular example, this is required. So this allows them to get ahead of the production, knowing that they're going to add decoration to all of these products. So the outerwear might be left chest, the shirts might be left sleeve. So you can differentiate it by product. And the way this is done in the back end, just to show you real quick, is when you go to the sizes, logo, and inventory page, you can actually click edit and to configure the logo, and it will pop up the same insignia flow that you guys are used to. So you'll step through this, and then you'll pick the logo, you'll pick the placement, you'll pick the color, and then it will save that logo to that product. And you can actually copy and paste it down as well, so you don't have to do each and every one. So there's some great efficiency there. And then here's that checkbox I mentioned for enforcing it or not on particular items. This is a great value add as well to be able to do it that way. And then the last thing I wanted to demonstrate was, let me switch over to my demo account here. We have the ability also to do events using points. So a points-based event would be something where you take your items like these and then you assign a point value to each one of these. So maybe this dress is 2 points and this other dress is 3 points. The points obscure the pricing, but typically there's a scale. Like if this is a $100 dress, it's 2 points. If it's a $150 dress, it's 3 points. The idea is that each attendee would be given X amount of points that they could then spend. So there's a feature here called allow a points-based event. So when you enable this, you set the total amount of points. So let's say they get 6. Each point is worth 50 bucks. Essentially, each person is getting $300 worth of spending power. But from your point of view, you can set it up so that it's a better value for you as the brand in that case. You can enforce the point limit, which means once they reach 6, they cannot add more items to their cart without removing others. If you don't enforce the point limit, then they can go over these points at a price of $50 per point. Now, we have a default message, but you can override that with this field here. Once you turn this feature on, what happens is another menu item will appear on the left that says set points. And what you'll do here is it'll actually show you, here's the point limits we sent before, 6. And now you can go through and actually set the individual points here for each one of these. So this might be 2. It's not letting me edit it. That's weird. Oh, there it goes. So you set it at the category level, and then it will actually disseminate down to each one of these points down here. So then when I go to the front end of this site, and this website does not look as nice as the others that I've demoed. This is one we're playing around with. What you'll see here is it shows in the upper right-hand corner how many points you have remaining to spend out of the total allotment. So if I add these items to the cart, it shows how many points are. I would turn off the pricing. You don't want to show pricing and show points. So I would just go back to the admin here, disable retail price, and only use the points in that case. So when I add this to the cart, choose a size. So now when I view my cart, it's going to show me that I've used 2 points, and now I can actually do some editing in here. So we'll just put 3 of those. So I'm at a total now of 6 points. You have not ordered. Oh, I know why. Okay. So then I would proceed to the checkout, and then again, just follow it here. This one actually has a microsite code. This is, as I mentioned before, the ability to put a password in here. And then if I wanted to do a drop ship, this is an optional drop ship site. So there's a checkbox to override that information. So you can drop ship. I am going to pause here for any questions from the group. I know we've got about 20 minutes left or so. So why don't I pause here? Katie, are there any questions in the group here?
Yeah, we've had a few questions already, which is great. So we can get into those questions now and then continue to drop your questions in the chat. We'll be able to answer those for you guys. And then you can drop questions in terms of what we've covered today, or if you have any questions on other things that were in the product video, or if you just have specific topics you guys would like to see covered in upcoming webinars, as well as any other ways you guys would like to be receiving educational content from RepSpark, feel free to drop that in the chat. But for now, we can get into the questions that are already there. And I think Reagan will be pulling those up on the screen.
Awesome. Should I stop sharing? Actually, I'll keep sharing just in case I need to demonstrate some of the answers here. So I'm reading through the comments here. I'll just go down the list here. I saw Shannon Holden from Galvin Green. She asked, are the packages, how many are allowed active at a time, or is it a yearly allotment? So a package within the microsite itself would be this down here, and you can have as many packages within a single site as you would like. The microsite packages, which are the annual allotment that you see up here, these are purchased in batches, and once you run out of them, you just purchase another, and then we replenish those. But as noted before, this microsites package here is only a function of active events that draw down from this total number here. So you can have events that are created, like this one that's open. This one doesn't count until it becomes active. Let's see. Rich, we will be sharing a recording of this afterwards. Let's see. Reagan. Oh, you already answered that one. Sophie from Johnny O is asking, when a participant selects a size / color, does that inventory get hidden from normal RepSpark ATS so people can't order it and we don't have to worry about it being sold out when we push the event orders through? The short answer, Sophie, and to the larger group is yes. We do keep track of the local quantities that are ordered, and every time an inventory sync is done, we still hold that local amount until the orders are moved into RepSpark. So I still encourage you guys to push orders through. Maybe every Friday, let's say, or every week, you can batch those orders from your various events. But if there's one small white T-shirt left in inventory across the whole website, and someone on the microsite orders it, then it will not be available on the main website, nor will it be available on any other websites that feature that same item concurrently. Next question here, again from Shannon. Confirming the bulk order process where the order is held does not hold inventory, correct? So that's the same question I just answered, I think. Bulk ordering does hold inventory. The key, however, is you have to make sure that every event is using this checkbox. So this live inventory needs to be checked for that event. Where does the pricing show up for the customer? I don't see it on the PDP. Again, it just depends on where that event is. Oh, let me go back here. Choose a better one. That is something that is just a checkbox, and it should show both on the shopping page and the product page itself. So if I go back over here, show retail pricing. We'll give that one a minute to update. By the way, while I'm looking at the screen here, you'll notice there's two links. This bottom link is the one that is the newest version of RepSpark that is responsive and looks that has the shopping cart built in and has the additional pages. This older link is from our original 1.0 version. We're actually deprecating this in May, so this will go away pretty soon. So anyone who is still using this link, please don't use it going forward for any additional events. Only use this one here that's attached to the new one. This older format doesn't support a lot of the newer features and is just a inferior experience to the new one. All right, so if I go back to the front end here, for each of these products now, it shows the pricing down here on the item, as you see, and then also shows it here on the product page when you zoom in. It's just a function of whether you have that checkbox enabled or not. Next question here, is there a higher level view where I can see a list of all my microsites once built? And yes, that's just the microsite manager or overview page here when you click in. Now, who can build microsites? This is probably a question that many of you are asking. We can set up microsite permissions to be done at just an admin level, or you can actually allow your sales reps to build microsites directly. Each brand has a different process. Some of the brands who do multiple microsites concurrently might run them through a program or a program manager or events manager. whereas some of the smaller ones that are just doing one event at a time, reps can set them up. So it's a role-based thing that you can set up. And if I am sales rep A versus sales rep B, I wouldn't be able to see the microsites of the other. I can only see my own microsites. Does the invoice to the customer show from the retailer or from the vendor? Who would they exchange or return to if drop ship? That's a good question. Since technically it is an order through the retail partner, so it's through XYZ Golf Club or Swim Club or whatever the case may be, and the event was held by them, I would assume that the exchanges would go through them, but I don't know. Maybe someone who has experienced that can drop that answer in the chat, and it may vary brand by brand on how that is handled. As far as the invoice, though, what you saw is what comes from RepSpark, that email confirmation. Does a user need to be signed in for the points to align to just that individual? Meaning, does each individual who attends this event need to be registered? So the short answer is no. Anyone with that link, if you disable the validation as I showed here, anyone who has this link could place an order. So there's some argument for going through and doing the upload list of users so that you don't have any unauthorized users using the site. Otherwise, you would just disable the user validation and then set up an order submission code, again, as a way of a password to mitigate that. The individual users don't have to be RepSpark customers at all. In fact, most of them are not. They're just your customers' customers. They're individual shoppers, essentially, that are going through the site to hand select what part of a bulk order they want. Okay, scrolling down here. Oh, okay. Any other questions from the group? Is this all just chat-based, or is there actually I'm asking this to Katie and Reagan, or is there like a live part of this where if anybody wants to chime in from the audience that they could?
I don't think they can, come up on the screen. That would be a Reagan question. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's just the chat portion. I wish they could pop up on the screen.
Well, the reason I asked that is I'm curious if anyone in the audience, some of our power users, like Sophie or Hillary, or I'm not sure who else is in here, may have some tips or insights that they could share because, having used microsites for a number of years, certainly they've helped to drive some of the feature development, as well as some of the real life user experiences of using RepSpark site. So if you feel like adding any comments, those who are using microsites frequently, would love to have those dropped in for the others to get the perspective of an actual microsite user. But other than that, I think that's really everything I have to cover for the group
Wait,
today.
Bobby, we have one more question
Oh,
from Shannon.
Shannon. The customer confirmation email, Shannon, will show whatever features we have turned on. So if the retail price is present in the microsite experience, then it will show on the confirmation. If it's an event where you just get to pick a shirt and a hat as part of your package that you've already essentially prepaid for, then you wouldn't show pricing in the microsite. Therefore, the pricing would not show on the confirmation email as well. Same thing if you're doing a points-based event, the pricing will not show on a points-based event confirmation email.
And then we just have one more from Shannon again. What about product details? Ours shows images, but not the technology product features.
So the mapping to the microsite product details is a function of specific fields in your ERP that are mapped to RepSpark. So I think we're using the long description field, Shannon. So we just need to double check that you have the data in that field. So like this example here, Olakai is not sending long description either. Actually, let me just double check that because you can also turn on and hide long description for a product, but that does come from the long description field in your product mapping.
Perfect. And then we can just leave a few seconds if there's any more questions. If any questions come up post-webinar, feel free to reach out to your account manager and we'll be able to get you the answers you guys need. But thank you, Bobby, for the demo, and thank you
Sure.
all for joining today. We will be sending you guys a recording of today's workshop and instructions on how to access additional resources on RepSpark, and we hope to see you all at next month's workshop to continue maximizing RepSpark.
Thanks, everyone.